Okay, so for the first question, I have to define analyzation and interpretation. I read that analyzation is sort of like putting a puzzle together. You find the small pieces in the text, and then, of course, you put them together. And when you do that, you end up with a picture. And this picture is made up from all these small pieces that you found in the text. Then, interpretation is when you have finished the picture, you could say that you step back from it and you look at the picture and you find out what it is supposed to look like, what it means. So you find out what the text really is about and what its theme is. So you're trying to get the text to make sense. However, you have to analyze first, of course, and when you analyze, you have to ask yourself some questions. Um, I would say there are like four main subjects that you have to analyze. And the first one is setting. That's about time, place, and social environment. And I would say that time and place is fairly obvious. You have to look in the text if it's 9 p.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning, if the text takes place in London or if it takes place in Sweden. But social environment, you have to pay more attention. Um, Maybe it could be the clothes. If it's old and got holes in it, and the buildings got graffiti all over them and looks like they're about to crash or something like that, well, then it's a poor environment, probably. Um, but it could also be the way they speak. So if it's a very fine language, then, well, it's maybe a rich social environment. And what this social environment does is that it creates an atmosphere. And this atmosphere is very important because it helps us understand the characters more and it just adds more volume to the text. Yeah. So for the second main thing subject, it's characters, and well, they are very essential because there's pretty much no story without them. So when you analyze, you have to pay a lot of attention because you sometimes learn a lot about these characters. Sorry, and sometimes you don't. And when you don't, it's maybe about age, appearance, family, which can give you a lot of answers to some questions you have. But if the writer decided not to tell you a lot about this character, well, then maybe he wants the character to be mysterious. Another thing you have to pay attention to is the development of the character and what causes this development. So if you say a character lied in the beginning of a text, and then a lot of bad things happen because he lied, and then he says to himself, "I will never lie again." Well, then of course, the message in the text is don't lie, and therefore it is important because the development often gives away the message. Moving on to the third thing, it's events. Sorry again. It's how the whole story is built up. Um, you have to find out if it's presented in chronological order, in if it starts in media res, or if it contains flashbacks. And you have to find this in the text, of course. Another thing that you have to analyze is if there's hints in the text. A hint could be something like a father driving way too fast to a birthday party, and at the birthday party he gets a lot to drink. Well, then maybe later on he's going to crash. And these hints of events likely to happen is often very, very good hidden. But if you can find them, that's a great thing then. Another thing in events and structure and composition, as it's really called, is the ending. And you have to find out if the ending is open or closed, if it's unpredictable, expected, unexpected, and so on. You also have to ask yourself what effect this ending has on you. If it's, what can you say, surprising, or if it leaves you with a lot more questions than you had at the beginning, and so on. The last thing I will talk about is narration. also called point of view. You have to find out if the text is told in third person narrator or first person narrator. So if it is a third person, the text would say he or she or it, and if it is a first person, it would say I. I'm sorry. You also have to find out if the text is omniscient or non-omniscient. If it is omniscient, then the narrator knows a lot about everyone, even the friend's dogs or whatever. And if it is non-omniscient, well, then he only knows something about the main character. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The third question is what I look for in family, friends, or partner. Well, I would like to take friends because that's I think it's a weird one. What I look for in friends is they need to be happy, of course, and they need to have a lot of humor. But it also needs to be the kind of person that I can go to for help. Because normally I would go to my family for help, but some problems is not really relevant for your family. It's more relevant for your friends, and therefore they can help you. But a good friend is also a person you learn with. Of course, you learn a lot in school, and so on. But with friends, you learn a lot of social things. Maybe it's your friend that invites you to a party, and it's really important to have that kind of friend. So yeah, that's it.